All right, folks, we're going to get started. Thank you for joining us today. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. We're here in San Francisco, so we're happy to have you here. I'm Bob House. I'm the president of BizBuySell. We've got a lot of great content we want to share with you today. Hopefully, we'll help you put into practice stuff from BizBuySell, stuff from Google, and hopefully, we'll help you grow your business and sell more businesses. So. Welcome to what's hopefully our first of our annual summits on this. And let's get started. So what we'll cover today, I'm going to kick us off and cover our mission and how we're serving brokers. I'm going to talk a bit about investments that we've made in the platform in the last 18 months or so and things that we have kind of in the pipeline that will improve the platform just so you kind of know where we're going. And then we're going to have a Google cover some great tools that can help you grow your business. Jason on our team is going to walk you through maximizing the BrokerWorks platform. And then we're going to have this lively roundtable discussion that Doug will moderate. And we have a broker panel. And finally, we have a Q&A at the end and a prize giveaway. So stay tuned for a little more details on that, like right now. So we're going to have some fun here. So we have some giveaways today, and these are some of our incentives to get you to stick around till the end. So what we have are three AirPods Pro that we're going to give away. We're going to give away two iPad Pros, and one lucky winner, the grand prize winner, is going to receive a Hilton Vacation gift card for $2,500. So this is going to be fun. We're going to announce the winners at the end. Here's the catch. We're going to give you a quiz, a little fun, short, easy quiz at the end, which is going to determine your eligibility for the prize drawing. And then once you complete that, you're entered, and then we'll draw the winners shortly thereafter. So stay tuned for that. Again, our speakers today, myself, Sam Noyd is our senior account executive at Google. He's going to share a lot of tools, most of them free, all of them free, I believe, from Google that you can use in growing your business. Jason Tom's our senior sales manager. Many of you have probably seen him on our other webinars, and he's going to share a lot of information about how to maximize your BrokerWorks account. And then again, Doug's going to moderate the broker roundtable at the end. And I'm not going to introduce these folks now because I think they're going to introduce themselves when we get to this section. But Jessica, Matt, Dustin, and Greg have been so gracious as to volunteer themselves to participate in this discussion, and we're really thankful to have them here today. So when we get to the very end of the Q&A, if you have questions for anyone, any of the panelists, brokers, ourselves, Google, feel free to ask those. And again, you can type your questions into the Q&A box for those just joining. That's how we'll know you have a question. Some of them we may just answer directly to you if it's a quick thing, and others we'll try to surface and share if they're broadly of interest to the group. So I wanted to give you a quick overview of the timeline of BizBuySell. This is actually our 25th year in existence. So it's hard to believe that BizBuySell was founded 25 years ago by Bill Miller in 1996, and many of you probably remember back to those days. And thanks to the Wayback Machine, you can find a lot of early screenshots of BizBuySell, and it's really interesting to see how much has changed and how much has stayed the same. One thing that we saw was this quote by Bill, which really holds true today. Our interest lies in providing a powerful web-based tool that is very friendly toward the professional broker, business buyer, and personal seller alike, regardless of their computer expertise. And I would say that mission kind of holds true today. But anyway, here's a kind of a fun timeline. You can see the internet growing from 44 million users in 1995 when the Netscape browser came out. All the marketplaces emerged at that time: Yahoo, Amazon, LoopNet, eBay, BizBuySell, BizQuest as well. Social media came along in the mid-aughts. And then, here we are today, 4.9 billion users on the web. And, we've now kind of built this network of BizBuySell, LoopNet, BizQuest, and media partners to power the largest business for sale marketplace CoStar came along, and there was a number of acquisitions in here. LoopNet bought BizBuySell in 2004. LoopNet bought BizQuest in 2010, and then CoStar bought LoopNet in 2012. So an interesting evolution. So what's our mission? Our mission is to help entrepreneurs uncover opportunity and create value through business ownership. That is broadly our mission. And I wanted to spend just a minute on this because we, as a marketplace, our job is to really try to aggregate as much supply and demand as we can, as much buyers and as much listings as we can. That's what any marketplace does, including the ones I just mentioned. And so, that's how you get the network effect. And all the supply brings the buyers, and all the buyers bring the supply. And so that's what we're constantly trying to do. And so we have a lot of constituents that we serve, but these are kind of the primary ones that we think about when we think about our audiences. So for buyers, obviously we want to have the most listings for them, but we also want to have content that helps pull them in as well. And that's the why and the how of buying a business. For owners, the same thing. We want to get them in front of the largest audience online, but we also want to have content and information to pull them in and help build the supply side of the marketplace. For brokers, we're really trying to drive the most closed deals that are for any option out there and be a leading source of new listings for you. And also franchisors are a key group for us, and we're trying to help them kind of grow their networks and their systems. So specifically as it relates to serving brokers, what's our mission for you guys? It's very simple. We want to help you sell more businesses faster at maximum value with minimum friction to make you more money. That's really what we're trying to do. So, how do we do that? Well, we do that by maximizing exposure and response to both your listings, which pulls in buyers, as well as your services, which pulls in sellers. So that's first. Second is we want to give you the tools to measure that marketing effectiveness. We got to give you kind of analytics and reporting so that you understand what you're getting. And finally, we want to improve lead qualification processes because leads are work and qualified leads are less work. And so we're trying to nurture that along on both the buy side and sell side. So anyway, this is our mission in serving brokers. And you can see if you spend any time on BizBuySell, but we're doing a lot to promote brokers, and we're doing more and more with each year that goes by. So obviously, we've always had an ability to list your business for yourself and by yourself if you want to create a listing on the site. And many people do that. A lot of low value businesses are people who just want to gauge interest. But if you want help from an expert, if you have a high value business or a higher value business, you really need a professional. We're trying to match you to a broker, and we've done that fairly, through a lot of different marketing mechanisms on our platform. You can certainly find our broker directory. You can find brokers kind of throughout our email marketing. Here's a seller newsletter, which includes lots of content and featured brokers that we send to our seller registered owners that are looking to sell. And you'll find it obviously throughout our websites as well. We develop lots of content as well, trying to educate our audiences on how to choose the right business broker and the benefits of using a broker. And you'll see that on our site and also where we publish on the web, like Inc. and Forbes and other places. And in addition, like recently, we've really started trying to be more active in matching owners with our broker members. And so, you can certainly go and find all these brokers on our platform and we promote them. But now we're trying to take a more active role in matching these brokers and these owners to our broker members. So we're doing these new digital campaigns. We've got videos running on YouTube, which then generated retargeted ads that bring you back to the website to find a broker. And finally, we're doing email campaigns where we're actively trying to match our owners with a broker. So look for this to kind of continue to develop and evolve on our platform as we move forward into next year. One thing that we did this year is we really wanted to leverage the feedback of our broker customers in a more formalized way. And so we formed this broker advisory council. We launched it in the second quarter. We have a panel of 9 members. I'll show you here in a second, from a wide variety of brokerages, large and small, across the nation, both corporate, franchise brokerages and independent brokers, but they're all respected and influential in the industry. And the objective of this council really is to help inform and drive our services and policies and procedures, help us identify new products that we are going to launch, help us identify where we can get better, where our products or solutions are maybe falling short and can be improved upon, and really identify priorities based on kind of industry trends and initiatives. So here is our 2021 Broker Advisory Council. I want to thank all of these members for kind of dedicating their time to help us improve the platform for our broker customers. We have 3 of these panelists, or 3 of these members on our panel today. So Jessica, Matt, and Dustin. So anyway, thank you to these industry leaders for their contributions in this council. Another thing we've done new this year is we are creating specializations of broker reps, broker sales reps, account reps. And we have Linnea and Isaac in Richmond and Virginia. We're looking for a rep in the West, and we certainly welcome referrals. If you know somebody who likes to work with brokers, helping them be successful using BrokerWorks, if you know someone, please send them our way. But these reps are going to be reaching out and connecting with our accounts and really trying to help our members get more out of their investment in our platform. Okay. So now I want to turn to some new and coming enhancements. This will be, I think, interesting for everyone. We've done quite a bit. I know we always want to do more and go faster, and we always have a roadmap that stretches out, unfortunately, years into the future. But here's a nice graphic that shows the roadmap maybe over the last 18 months or so. Back at the beginning of last year, we put all of our listings onto LoopNet. So now if you go to LoopNet, you'll see there's a business for sale. I'll show you in the next slide, a business for sale tab. And it's exclusive reach for our members. We've done a lot to really try to modernize the search experience for those who've used BizBuySell over the years. It used to be heavy on the drop downs and checkbox selections, and we've tried to make it much more intuitive and streamlined to drive more leads. And it's working and increasing engagement and traffic and leads. We've done lots around search engine optimization, including mobile optimization and performance-based SEO, as well as developing new content. And this helps obviously increase traffic and discoverability. We've really invested in paid search and increased our budget and our spend there. We have a multi-million-dollar paid search campaign running every year and targeting high intent buyers and sellers and trying to bring them to the platform as well. We've done a lot around site performance improvements. And if you've noticed, hopefully you've seen the site become faster. That's, again, particularly important with regards to engagement so that people don't bounce, and for SEO as well. And then finally, we've got some listing intelligence reporting that we've rolled out. And I'm going to share that in a few slides. That's the newest thing we've released. So we've got a lot more to come, but here's gives you an idea of what we've been working on. Again, here's the listings on LoopNet. If you go to LoopNet homepage, the business for sale tab there, you can find all the listings in LoopNet now. So the traffic is really taking off. You can see since this just goes back to June of last year, but it's really growing. And maybe some of you have seen the advertising campaigns that LoopNet has been running, which target owners looking for their next space. And LoopNet has a lot of small business owners on the website looking for space, and many of them are interested in buying and selling businesses. So anyway, it's an exclusive reach for our members, exposure to millions of tenants and investors. It's the most highest traffic commercial real estate marketplace, and a really great addition. The streamlined search I mentioned. Again, this is kind of a new look. You can play around with it. There's more keyword search focus when you search. You can select multiple locations at the city level, county level, state level. You can select multiple industries and search for them, and not have to search through long lists to try to find what you're looking for. We've really upgraded the safe search capability to bring buyers back to the site by allowing them to save searches and save listings as well. And then we continue to feature our brokers within the search experience. Both inline, we have a couple placements as well as 4 on the sidebar. So this is, the analytics show this has been a great success. We're driving more leads than ever as a result of this kind of new search experience. I alluded to kind of a new reporting, listing performance reporting and kind of lead management. So here was the old listing reporting and lead management system. And you guys may remember this under view stats. You pop up a modal and it's got this tabular view of your performance by week. There's no way to change the dates or to visualize this graphically. There was very limited lead management capability, just the ability to essentially delete or resend or export your leads. So we've just rolled this out to all members. Now, when you go under the view stats, there's a whole new graphical interface for the listing performance reporting. And you'll see all kinds of data that can help you make decisions about how your marketing is working. So at the first screen, you'll see kind of high level listing ad impressions. That's how many times your listing appeared in a search result on one of our network sites. The listing detail views is how many times somebody went in and saw that listing itself. And finally, the leads are how many leads you got. And you can change the time period here. That was not possible before. You can say the last quarter, the last year, this month, and you can really dial in what you're looking for. On the lead reporting, we're now reporting on both phone and email leads. So previously, it was only email leads. We know that phone leads are about 1/3 of the leads that come to our members. So it's meaningful, and we're just kind of not capturing and reporting on that value. You can still export all these, you can export all this data to a CSV file, and you can obviously upgrade. You can monitor the effects of upgrades. So you see we've got these colored bars in the bottom. They show what listing level the listing was at during the period. So the light blue is a basic, the purple is a showcase. If it were diamond, it would be yet a different color. And you can see the impacts of buyer blasts and listing upgrades on performance. So finally, you can print client reports, and I'll show a screenshot of that in a minute. So again, here's just a quick view of the listing ad impressions. Again, this is how many times your listing appeared in search. You can see it here. We've got it by month, but you can look at it by week. Again, you can change the reporting kind of timeline. In addition to that, we have reports on how many people clicked through and actually saw the full listing, right? They actually got to the listing itself, and that's the detail views on the right. And again, you can see it by week, et cetera. If you toggle to the click-through section, that's on the left, it'll show you the click-through rate. So that's the rate at which people, it's basically the listing detail views divided by the listing ad impression. So it's at what rate are people responding to your listing when they see it, when it appears in search. It's a good measure of how engaging that title is, or that photo is, or other things, the price that get people to want to explore it. A general rule of thumb, in fact, we try to keep it above 2%. And finally, your leads. We've got reports on this. You can see by listing level, and again by we also break it out by both email leads and phone leads with different colors representing phone leads and email leads. So anyway, I encourage everybody to go explore this. You can also launch from any part of this report into your lead management dashboard. And we've done some nice improvements there. So previously you couldn't do much, but now you can actually search your leads. So we've added a keyword search function. You can search by listing ID or listing title, or you can search by user, like if there's a particular name you're looking for, and it'll filter the list accordingly. You can toggle between your email leads and your phone leads, and get all the details for when those leads came in. So for your email leads, again, you'll see the who it was from, what listing it was to, and the time it was received. Same for your phone leads, what caller ID called in, what listing it belongs to, and was it a call or a text, and the time. So this is why we enabled that call reporting feature, so that we could enable this kind of reporting back to you in your listing analytics and lead management areas of your BrokerWorks account. So anyway, go explore this. Give us your feedback. We think it's a nice step forward on improvements. It'll hopefully help you understand what you're getting for your investment in Biz Buy Sell. Finally, I'm just going to finish with, we've improved the ability. I mentioned earlier that you can export the CSV, and get all the raw data, and you can manipulate it however you like. But if you want a simple, convenient way to share something with your clients, you can print this report in a much prettier kind of PDF kind of format and share kind of listing performance with your clients directly. You can save that PDF and then email it to them, for example. So that is the update on listing analytics and lead management. A couple more things we have coming. So we'll be turning our attention to upgrading your broker profile and the broker directory in general. So this is an area that we get a lot of searchers coming to our broker directory looking to hire brokers, and your profile is your page on Biz Buy Sell, and so this is just illustrative. This is not we haven't done the designs yet, but our goal here is to really expand usability for searchers and cultivate trust while showcasing your expertise. So things that we're thinking we're going to do are allow clients to write recommendations for you to decide whether you want to display or not on your profile. That we want to demonstrate your experience by showing things like active listings, completed transactions, specializations, and more. We really want to highlight your closings in the your sold listings area. So we'll really be looking to improve on that. Plus, just in general, a whole kind of improvement in the UI and the graphical presentation of your information. So look for some nice upgrades coming to the broker directory. Give us a little bit of time, but you'll see these coming out hopefully in the beginning part of 2022. So we're starting the design process now. So the other thing I want to share is we really want to focus on the power of sold. We have this great directory, but we really want to figure out how to surface the best brokers in the directory and highlight your experience and your accomplishments. So it really starts with better data collection around kind of sold business comps. We've heard a lot that our comps are not, they're good for powering our insight report, but they're not in depth and they're not, verified. So at the core of this is improving the comp process so that we can power the delivery of qualified seller leads to our brokers. And that's how sellers are coming in. They want to understand ballpark value of their business. And so we got to provide them a decent ballpark so that we can qualify them and then match them to a broker. We really want to highlight your sales to drive sellers to you. So we're going to leverage your sold listings, as I mentioned, to attract new clients. We want you to stand out from the crowd. We want to position these sold listings as a key differentiator on par with certifications and memberships. And these kind of things can be an influence in the sort order of our broker directory. So that, again, the performing brokers who are doing a good job are going to kind of rise up. That serves our owners, and that's really what we want to do, as well as the buyers who are looking for brokers to assist them. And finally, we want to create some digital tombstones and some stuff that really memorialize your key sales. And our end vision here is to create a Power Broker Award that really rewards the best brokers with kind of tangible things that they can share with their clients, which further, bolsters your credibility and expertise with the industry. So this is what's coming to the broker directory and the broker profiles. And again, I think this will be really great stuff when we get this live. Just a couple more things, and I'm going to turn it over to Google. This is a good segue to that. We do a lot with SEO Google is constantly putting out guidelines around what you need to do to have good organic traffic, and this is what we live by, right? And so I just, a quick preview, like the latest thing is Core Web Vitals. There's all kinds of metrics around largest contentful paint, first input delay, and cumulative layout shift, and these things are, puzzling to even those who work in it, but it has to do with the speed and the quality of the user experience and rendering these pages quickly. And Google tells you what your score is, and we're constantly working these things to ensure the best SEO. So we've done a lot here recently, June through August. And I'm going to finish on this slide just to give you a sense of other areas where we're going to be turning our attention. This was from you when we survey our broker customers over what features you'd like to see on our platform. And these were the top 5 ranked by you when we do our annual survey. I think we did it at the beginning of the year. Obviously, more categories is always a top request. And so we always like to hear your suggestions there. It's always a balancing act. We have to create categories that have enough inventory to merit having the category, but please send us your ideas. A richer buyer profile, so that, again, it's about qualifying the buyers a bit more, not just an email and a phone, like what's their intent, what do you know about them? If we can deliver that to you, that helps you work your leads. Metro area search is an area that we're obviously need to make advances on and improve on, and we're looking at that. The sold comps, again, that came up prior, and we've just pushed out this listing performance reporting that I mentioned earlier. So again, these are some of the top priorities as reported by you to us, and we've got these on our roadmap and in our sites. So with that, I think I'm right on time. I want to turn it over now to Sam from Google, and Sam is going to, I'm going to share directly with you, Sam, so you don't have to do anything.
Perfect.
So now you should say you can control my screen.
All right,
Sam, thank you for being here with us.
Of course, excited to be here with everyone.
So if you click the screen and then try your arrows, there you go.
There we go. Okay, perfect. Well, we will go ahead and jump right in. Actually, before we do, a little bit about myself. So I am based here in Atlanta, Georgia. So coming to you from the East Coast, when I know a lot of you are on the West Coast. It's my wonderful wife, Carolyn, and then our 2 little boys. And then a little bit about my hobbies. Definitely an amateur hobbyist. Really gotten more into that. My wife's side of the family comes from Minnesota, and at one point pre-COVID, we were visiting them, negative 30 degrees outside, and discovered her grandfather's camera that had sat under my mother-in-law's bed for the past 20 years. It's kind of interesting. There's no batteries. It's all springs and levers and everything else, pure film. Those on the West Coast might recognize the view through the viewfinder. That's McWay Falls. Really have gotten into that. Take it with a grain of salt, $3 to $5 per photo. You really think twice before you press that shutter button. And then the last photo on the right would be my our 4-legged friend Moose here. Always have to add him because definitely we're not entirely sure what he is, but he has some beagle in him. So if you hear some beagle howls coming from the other side of that door, I apologize in advance. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. So when we think about all the different ways that customers can convert, there's many different ways. I was actually catching up with a colleague the other day talking about the purchase funnel for purchasing a vehicle. When I purchased my vehicle, obviously I work in analytics at Google. I'm quite particular. I spent a lot of time researching, kind of thinking through everything, doing the math, everything like that. It was probably a 3-month process. I talked to my friend. He said he was looking for a car with Android Auto. So he made sure the dealership had it. He went in, they didn't have that vehicle, so he just bought a different one while he was there. So keeping that in mind, everybody has a different conversion flow. There really is no average customer. You can look at many different things when they're researching what types of businesses are available, what types would be best in my area, what types would be best for my lifestyle. There's many different aspects that people could be looking at. So with that in mind, just kind of keep that in the back of your mind as we're going through these next slides and looking at everything. Alrighty, next slide. There we go, perfect. So 66 days. In 2009, there was a study coming out of the University of London around how long does it take to form a habit? And it can range anywhere from 18 days to 254 days, but on average, it came out as 66 days. Now, it's important to note that in the post-COVID world, we are currently 537 days in. Think about how much your life has changed, how much your preferences have changed, how much your purchasing preferences and buying preferences have changed throughout that time. I know mine have certainly changed a lot, and I don't think there's really any going back to the way things were before. The name of the game really comes about how can you be there for customers in the new normal, the next normal, kind of serve them where they are comfortable and kind of adapting however possible. See, so with that in mind, we're going to talk a little bit about Google My Business. And you'll notice kind of a theme throughout here, and this is something Bob hit on as well, but it's really about reducing friction. So I got my start in my career actually in mechanical engineering in the civil and defense aerospace business. And I can tell you I spent a lot of time studying friction. I've since forgotten most of it, but I do remember approximately 1/3 of the world's energy is lost to friction. So it's kind of interesting to keep that in mind as you're going through this. What are things we can do throughout the process to try and reduce that friction, reduce the opportunities for customers to go somewhere else? For them, your competition may not even be another franchise, another business, another, I don't know, it could just be someone popping through the door, my wife checking in, seeing how things are doing. So it's kind of important to keep that in mind as well. These next solutions that we're going to go through are really, think about them as kind of a better together approach. Bob mentioned these are all free solutions. They are widely available. It's not going to be one where you implement these and all of a sudden you have a line for your business around the block. You're not going to crash your website from massive amounts of traffic. These kind of compound and they complement what you're doing. So your efforts on social media, your efforts with networking, your efforts with partners like BizBuySell, all of those kind of combine together, and it's really a better together approach. So Google My Business, this is probably a tool that many of you have not heard of, even though you have interacted with it many different times. Think about the last time you searched for a local business. I think the example here is really around restaurants and looking into it. And you notice that what comes up is kind of the splash page there with reviews, photos, etc. That is Google My Business. One of the things I like best about it, it is entirely free. It trumps everything else in terms of paid search, organic search, everything else. It is coming up there. It is really trying to seek to be helpful to that end user. And it's a great opportunity for you to get your name, get your brand, and get your business out there. There's many different reasons as far as why you would use Google My Business. You can stand out. As Bob was mentioning before, this is a great way for you to credential yourself. If you've done a great job networking, you've handed out business cards, you've gone through everything, people are going to end up Googling you. They're going to look at what does your business look like. You can see reviews, you can see photos, you can interact with people easier. There's a lot of different options to leverage here. Probably not surprising, but 75% or more of the stat comes from 2018, so it's a little bit dated, but 75% of people are using search engines to try and find things near them. So that could be brokers, that could be businesses for sale. One of the best ways to find out about things is through search engines, not just Google, others as well. But people are really searching for what they're looking for. And the Google My Business profile is something that you can actually update. It is a living and breathing product at Google. Again, it is provided free of charge. It is about getting information out there. During COVID, you could add your COVID hours if you had curbside pickup options. It is kind of constantly evolving and changing. And one of the things we've noticed is that you will get 5 times more views if you keep it up to date, kind of making sure you're posting new content occasionally, making sure those photos aren't from 1992 and kind of continually evolving and iterating. Phone calls, this is one that's kind of really interesting as well. So a lot of searches are happening on mobile these days. That's been a trend that we've seen probably over the last 10 years, and it has only accelerated. Simply tapping that button, you can click to call, and we'll get through some reporting insights that you can draw from this later. But it really reduces friction for that end customer as they're trying to call you. Anything you can do to make that easier, that's going to help your customer. So many of you may already have websites, but if you don't, Google My Business actually offers a free website within the Google My Business profile where you could create a very simple website. This is important, as we were talking about before. Even in post-COVID times, I think it's only gotten more important. This stat, again, is from 2018, but 70% of consumers are more likely to trust your business if you have a website. So those are ones where it's what can you do to credential yourself? How can you build out that? How can you attract digital eyeballs? The website is a great place to start, and this is an option to get started with a free one. Photos. If online dating and LinkedIn profile photos have taught us anything, a picture really is worth 1,000 words. Making sure that you are added in and you have all of kind of current and relevant photos here. Obviously, a lot of these examples focus on restaurants that may not be right for your business. Get creative with it. Make sure you include human faces, kind of give a personal touch to your business will really go a long ways towards kind of building trust and credibility with that end customer. So we've gone through a lot of tools that are helping end users kind of reduce friction and making their life easier. But what about you as the actual business owner? The nice thing is there is an app for you, and you can actually, well, there's also a mobile web experience. So you choose your own adventure, whichever one is easiest for you. But this allows you to kind of keep in touch with things and update them on the go. It probably sounds like this is a ton of work. I have done this myself for my wife's business. You can probably do all of this in about 30 minutes. There's online courses that we'll go through later that you can see this. So this is a great way to kind of get up and running quickly. And then having the app on your phone gives you a way to kind of keep that up to date. Snap a photo on your phone, quickly post it. Occasionally you'll even get push notifications. Like I got a push notification for some of the changes that came out because of COVID. So that was interesting. I could quickly make the updates and move on. You'll also see here, there are kind of some basic insights and analytics here. You can see how many people have been viewing your photos, how many people have called you through the Google My Business kind of widget there. And that's helpful to see, hey, is this helping reduce friction? What's working? Are these types of photos really attracting eyeballs, or are these ones not working as well and perhaps I could swap them out? Next one, this is one that's a relatively new feature within the past couple of months, I would say, is around messaging. Again, going back to different consumers prefer to interact in different ways. Some people may want to pick up the call, some pick up the phone and call. Others may be interested in sending an email. Still others might want to message in real time. This gives you the ability to write back directly from your phone, directly from mobile web, anywhere you would like to. So you can have a conversation with that potential customer. You can even set up autoresponders as well. So there's a lot of options there. So the next one we talked about, let's see, would be Google Test My Site. And Bob, great job kind of teeing me up here on first contextual paint and everything else. There's a lot of details that really go into this. And it's important to try and make it as simple and as approachable as possible. Why is this important? Speed really matters. When you think about it, everybody is very busy. You are running from one place to the next. You are trying to do many different things. You have personal lives, you have professional lives, many different things going on. With that in mind, it doesn't even take that much. 1 second delay can cause all of these issues. You can see an 8% increase in bounce rate, people that come to your website and then jump off your website without doing any serious interactions. A 7% decrease in conversions. And that's purely just 1 second. So you can imagine some of these issues with kind of your website may end up with a 4-second or a 5-second. I think we've all had instances where you visited a website, you've seen the spinning wheel of doom, and then someone's come in and interrupted you, or you've given up and you went to check the sports scores on ESPN or something else. These are all options. So anything you can do to try and reduce that friction to make that easier will really pay off. With that in mind, there is the Think with Google website. We have tried to make this as easy as possible. You can put in your website, it will run through a whole bunch of different tests and it will generate a report. And it will even rank order the improvements that you could make. Now, the goal is not to go from 0 to 100 and have a perfect website with AMP and MWeb and everything else. You don't need to know those acronyms. There will not be a test, I can assure you on that. But the point is not to take it from 0 to 100. It's really about what are these simple improvements you can make to try and reduce friction to make that easier so that you don't have people bouncing off your website because it's taking too long to load. And then a little bit of a kind of tongue-in-cheek moment here. This stuff is hard. It is not easy. So I ran our own Think with Google website, which is kind of our blog. We have a lot of different articles and helpful tips on that. I ran Think with Google through our test your website speed, and we got a poor rating. So take that with a grain of salt. There's many different things we can look to improve, but again, the goal is not to go from 0 to 100 here. We're going to get a little bit more technical now, but I promise we will not go too far down the rabbit hole. Google Analytics. Many of you may have heard of this. This is kind of a tracking snippet that you can put on your website, which allows you to gain insights into where did people come from, what type of behavior are they taking on your website? Are they looking at many different pages? Are they bouncing right away? Are they actually completing conversion flows? There's many different things you can go here. And this solution can go all the way from a one-person business up to a Fortune 100 business. Again, we're not looking to take it all the way to complexity. Google is in the process of rolling out a new version. It's been about 10 years, so it was time to rewrite the code base. I usually like to joke, I'm not sure what happened to Google Analytics 2 and 3, but we went straight from GA Google Analytics to GA4. Don't ask me, I'm not sure, but there's many different improvements that are available in the new GA4. It's really about being scalable for your business, helping you understand what's going on. It uses a lot more machine learning to help you get insights into what's going on. And it's really architected for the future being kind of mobile and then web development combined together. So you can get insights from apps, mobile web, and desktop web all in one. It is also set up for the future in terms of privacy. There's a lot of regulations coming down, GDPR, ITP, everything else. It is set up for the future in that regard. And one of the other things that I really, yes.
Quick question while you're on this, is this out now? And what if you already have GA implemented, or are you automatically upgraded to GA4?
It is currently available. You can actually access it through your Google Analytics property. It is not, unfortunately, auto upgraded, and I won't get into all the technical details why. What we're recommending right now would be, if you have an existing implementation, to basically run the two in parallel, because new development will be happening on GA4. At some point, the legacy versions of GA will be retired. But basically run the two in parallel. One of the main values of Google Analytics is looking at year-over-year data. This allows you to still have your year-over-year data in your existing implementation. Google will continue to support that for a good amount of time. But then you've also ramped up your new GA4 instance with all the new bells and whistles, and you're accumulating data in that. Does that help?
Yep, great.
Perfect. So try to make this as easy as possible. You can set up a free account. You can go through, you're creating a new property, you're adding in data streams, where they're coming from, activating enhanced measurement. I would say step 3 is even actually optional. And then you're really enabling data collection. And you can just place that tracking pixel straight on your website. You can put it in a container such as Google Tag Manager, which is another free solution. There are many different free courses, because this can get a bit technical. Many different courses, which we will go through later on how to access those. All right, next up we have Google Search Console. This is helpful in understanding how is your website ranking on Google search. When Google's web crawlers go through, what are they seeing on your website? Are there ways you could improve? Are there ways you could grow? This is, I think, very beneficial. Again, it is a free tool. This will alert you if they've noticed issues with, for example, the first contextual paint that Bob was talking about earlier, or mobile issues. You will actually get email notifications saying, we've noticed an issue with your website here. You can see different query strings that caused your website to show up. This is just useful in terms of seeing how are people finding you through Google's organic search. Next up would be Google Workspace. This has gone by many different names through the years. It was recently rebranded. You may recognize it from Google Suite, G Suite. Basically what it is a collection of Google's productivity solutions, such as Gmail, Google Meet, which is our video conferencing solution, Slides, Sheets, Docs. There's even Google Forms, which allows you to collect form responses. I'm not a salesperson for this, but I was looking and it looks like it's about $10 per user per month. So take that with a grain of salt, but if there's different things you can do to reduce friction along the way, this one would be more focused on reducing friction for your internal staff. This is a video here. Ironically, I had to actually export this from Google Slides into PowerPoint, so it broke the video. That's on me. But if you want to see a video for how to do that, it will walk you through how seamless it can be to present, to share, to collaborate all in one, and really kind of make working virtually much easier and kind of faster as well. This next one I think is interesting in terms of getting a pulse on what is going on. So with the search box, there's a book called Everybody Lies, written by Seth Stevens Davidowitz. It's a tongue twister, but he was basically a data scientist, and he spent a lot of time researching, and he realized that there's few places in the world where you're incentivized to answer fully truthfully. If you ask people what their preferences are, they may answer aspirationally. For example, I used to run triathlons. Now I have small children. I have not run a triathlon between that and COVID in a very long time, but I would still tell you that I'm probably a triathlete. They may answer based off what they think you want to hear. But when you're staring at that little white box, you are incentivized to tell the truth, because the more truthful you are, the better results you're going to get. If I'm searching for triathlons, that's not going to be as useful when I'm trying to figure out, we just got back from vacation and one son poked the other son in the eye with a plastic straw. So then I was trying to understand what was going on there. I think we've probably all had random child injuries. But it's interesting to see how can you harness this information and then leverage it in a privacy safe way. And that's really where Google Trends comes in. So if you have a question, consider asking Google, trying to see what's out there. If you want to look into what parts of the country view it as football versus American football, you can look into that. You can even see it down to DMA level, basically the city or the kind of regional area. There's a lot of different information you can ask here. So now you might be thinking, this is all well and good, but I don't really care about football. How can this help my business? If you want to look into buying a business, you can see over time, the general trend has been up, even in COVID. You can see what queries are trending, what topics are of interest. You could look into restaurants, what types of restaurants, which markets are doing well. There's many different things you could look at here. We've just scratched the surface. I didn't want to take too much time on this, but trends.google.com, have a look. Just kind of search around. There's tons of information, and it is near real time as well. So it's very useful in terms of understanding and kind of getting a pulse on what people are feeling and what the world is searching for.
Is that a fairly new product, Sam? When did that come out?
No, it's actually been around for quite a while. So there's certainly been some enhancements made during COVID, but it has been around for quite a while, actually. It's kind of one of those hidden gems that a lot of people don't know about that I think is really powerful. Let's see, this next one is really around, I mentioned before and kind of alluded to this. There's many different courses kind of growing together with Google. If you start looking into Google My Business or Google Analytics and you're like, wow, this is really tedious, I don't know what I'm doing here, there's a free course for that. And it's not just on Google products as well. There's many different things you could look at here and kind of look as you look to grow your business. And I believe actually all of these are free. Some of them you can sign up in person if you are in the New York area or the West Coast. They do have some in-person learning centers. I don't know the status of those currently. I feel they kind of change day to day, but that's something to keep an eye out for as well. And I think that brings us to the end, roughly. I guess the last thing I would say would be, again, hopefully these tools are useful in helping you improve your business. It is not one where we're going to do these and all of a sudden you're going to have 5 million hits on your website the next day and a line out the front door. But in combination with everything else you're doing, your social media posts, your email drip campaigns, your networking, and the out-of-home advertising, partners like Biz by Sell, anything you're doing like that, it will really compound and kind of complement each other as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam.
Of course.
Sam, we have a couple of questions. I wonder if I'm doing my best to address some of these, but this is obviously out of my wheelhouse. I wonder if you just want to try and answer some of these as we have a few minutes.
Perfect. I'd be happy to.
Okay, so let's start with this one. When it comes to speed, what if the problem is with their Wi-Fi connection speed? The business is painted with problems then that they can't control. So how does Google factor in website speed into their algorithms or Wi-Fi?
Yes. So actually, as you're doing the test my website, you can toggle between 4G and then also 3G because a lot of the nation is still running on 3G. There's actually 5G is available as well, but that's one way you could look into understanding what is going on. As far as being penalized based on speed, that's more Google's looking at many different things when they are figuring out the organic ranking, and we could probably spend about 2 weeks talking about that and not cover all of them. But it's more, what are things you can do to improve along the way? So if you understand that a lot of your customers are going to be using mobile devices in rural areas where 3G is predominant, like that might be one you need to look at, and then resize images to be smaller, decrease overall bandwidth consumption and things like that to look at to try and make that usable. Because it's one where Google might not penalize you for it, but the end user still might penalize you for it.
That makes a lot of sense. We're getting a lot of questions about Google My Business. So I guess the first thing, is there a good resource or someone that they can reach out to for more information or help with Google My Business?
Yes, so as you're actually signing up, there's kind of a conversion flow, and there's an option for if you have help there. In order to verify your business, they might actually need to mail you something. So then you would just get a code, you would type it in. The Grow with Google, that would be a great resource as well. And there's many different kind of help articles. And then if you run into issues along the way, you can reach out to the support team through those channels as well.
Awesome. And then I'll just do one more here. Can you turn off reviews on Google My Business?
Ooh, that is a good question. I don't know if you can turn them off. I know you can respond to reviews. I'm not sure if you can turn them off though. So that is a good question.
Cool. Okay. Thanks a lot, Sam. That was great.
Of course.
So I think next up we have Jason. I think Jason, I've given you control. See if you can advance the slides.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Looks like I might just have a little bit of a lag here. In the meantime, as that starts to load up, I do want to introduce myself. My name is Jason Tom. I am the sales manager here at Biz by Sell. I do a lot of training with brokers across the country. I have been with the CoStar Group for about 15 years total, sometime with LoopNet, as well as CoStar and Biz by Sell. Okay, and what I'm going to go over today is just the fundamentals of BrokerWorks. We do hold a monthly webinar of BrokerWorks education, and really the way I like to start this off is BrokerWorks is really split into two separate sections, and it's your profile and then it's your inventory of listings. But before we dive into the differences on where we can help you with your profile and listings, I do want to just give just some overall and piggyback a little bit off what Sam said is consumer behavior has changed over the last year and a half. And what we know is that people are more driven to digital adoption more than ever, just based on what happened through COVID. So people are coming to the internet to get their information, and that includes for businesses. So that's why it's so important marketing with us. And what we do really well is views and clicks. We want people to see who you are and want people to see your listings. And we do this with our traffic that comes, about 3 million views on a monthly basis. We have 15 times more traffic than our closest competitor. How do we do that? It's not just Biz by Sell. Biz by Sell, again, is a network. And when you ingest your listing and your profile into our network, it goes out to BizQuest, the #2 most heavily trafficked business for sale website. It goes on to LoopNet, as well as our network partners of newspapers, as well as the USA Today and the Wall Street Journal. So every year, Biz by Sell reinvest a lot of the money back into our own business, and that's through SEM and SEO. So when you run a Google search, we try to really control page 1, and that's on keywords like the city, the type of business, and for sale. And when you look at this, Orlando restaurants for sale, you'll see that LoopNet, Biz by Sell, and BizQuest are the dominant search results that come up on page 1. And what the goal here is we don't want you to be missed on any opportunity that a consumer is using to come on to get more information regarding a business. So regarding lead generation, how does this work? And there's 5 key elements that we look at. So as a business broker, we understand that you're always trying to get as much exposure as possible. And there's a lot of different avenues you can do that through. There's BrokerWorks. There's your social media, including Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, there's your personal website, there's your company website. And all those elements are combined to just bring overall awareness so people can find you. When people find you, that being sellers and buyers, we want people to have engagement with what they're finding. And that's where we really want to step in as being just the baseline of education on how to get views and clicks onto your listings and profiles. And once people are engaged, they take all this into consideration with the credibility that you've presented to them online. And that's what they do with the next step in terms of taking a call to action, whether that's a phone call, a text, or even an email. And through that, we start generating leads. And what Bob went over was the overall way on how we're going to try to improve the way to track leads, because if we understand that every quarter, every year, it's always about the ROI in terms of your spend and what that return is. So those are the 5 key elements of lead generation that we want to make sure that everyone is aware of. So really quick refresher, I know we have a wide range of members with us, and that's anywhere from basic members for the first month in your membership to people who have been with us over 20 to 25 years being elite members. And this is your basic dashboard that controls your views, ad displays, and ad clicks for a combination of your listings as well as your profile engagement. So you should be, whether it's yourself who controls the account or a listing coordinator or a marketing manager, this is something that you should be logged into probably a couple times a week, just understanding the activity that you're driving within BrokerWorks or on the Biz Buy Sell platform. So I talked about recently just the 3 different memberships we have. And really, when we talk about BrokerWorks and Elite, Premium, and Basic, all these are powerful tools. It doesn't really, the different membership that you have has a high power function in terms of getting yourself, your business out there, as well as your inventory. But what we want to do is just create some clarity on the difference between the Elite, Premium, and Basic. And really, this is in the directory and how you appear in our search results within our broker directory. So you can see in that image on the right-hand side, we see that Elite comes up top, Premium comes second, and then Basic comes down below. And you can see the imaging that's different in terms of how that results in the search in the directory. The other key point I really want to highlight with the profile is the amount of counties you appear in. So with Elite, you get 10 counties, Premium 5, and Basic 1. So with all the people who have memberships on the webinar today or on the summit today, we did want to highlight some of the things that we looked over everyone's accounts we took into consideration. And what we did was we're trying to just bring some education on some opportunities to find more success by highlighting some of the mistakes that are being made as a collective group. And one of the biggest mistakes that we're seeing, whether you're purchasing Showcase Plus email credits or you're getting the free credit by being a Premium or an Elite member, is we see a lot of unused Showcase credits. Now, this is transitioning a little bit to a listing. So in your inventory of listings, you have a credit that you can bring up higher in the search results on a monthly basis. This is something that it's included in your membership if you're Premium and Elite. And we want to make sure that you're taking advantage of it, because all it's going to do is bring more visibility to your listing by putting it higher in the search results. And then we're also going to give you tools to be proactive in terms of engaging with buyers who are interested in your category of the listing, as well as in the price point and location. We call that a prospect list, as well as a buyer blast. Very simple tools to generate more leads. So we wanted to highlight that as the first mistake is an opportunity that you can't take advantage of. Second, we talked about the counties in terms of the type of membership that you have and the amount of counties that come with it. So we do have Elite members that aren't taking advantage of the full 10 counties that come with their membership. Opportunity to get in front of a different market, new leads, new sellers, And that's what we want to make sure you're just aware of. Whether you want to take action on it or not, it's completely up to you in terms of how big of a footprint you want. But we do want to make sure that you understand that opportunity, that you can engage in more counties than what you have, up to 10. Premium is 5, and then basic is 1. So if you're a basic member and you're on the call, it's like, well, I'm in LA. I have the resources to stretch out to Orange County. Think through that and see if that's an opportunity that makes sense for you financially to maybe upgrade to a premium membership. So again, these are all different ways to stay competitive in markets. There's a lot of brokers that are competitive and they want as much visibility. This is one way to get your brand out there to our audience that's been more increased in terms of traffic over the last 18 months than we've had in previous years. So the third mistake is the ability to link up our distribution. So a lot of the participants on the call today have affiliations with IBBA, MMA, as well as state affiliations, as well as LinkedIn. So this doesn't come at any additional cost, whether you're basic, premium, or elite, but within your networking tools, you can actually sync this up so you can have those credentials follow you through the BizBuySell platform. So every time we see William Park, we know he's affiliated with IBBA. The reason why you want to do this, one, it gets your listings and presence on the IBBA website, but also it creates credibility for you. So with the amount of users that are coming on to BizBuySell, it's not just BizBuySell. They're constantly looking at other ways to understand who you are. The more credentials and affiliations you have just creates a natural trust, what Sam was talking about in terms of a consumer taking action. That's all we're trying to create is credibility and trust so people feel comfortable making a phone call, sending a text, sending an email, and then it's up to you to make that deal come to life. So we see a wide range of broker profiles, and we want to make sure that we all set the standard exactly what Matt Coletta has done with his profile. We see the charming smile, professional photo. I know by seeing Matt's profile in past, he has a lot of inventory of listings as well as sold properties, sold businesses, and he has a professional profile to his company. Like he has a link to his company, and as well as the link works. So when you click on it, it drills right back to his website. And then you see the credentials right under his certification and memberships. And this is someone that we have seen our customers want to engage with. They want to pick up the phone, contact as they go to LinkedIn and Facebook and all the other outlets. It just verifies Matt Coletta's story. These are the decisions that sellers face when they come into our directory on BizBuySell. They will see a lot of brokers, agents, and it's important that what we do is avoid the right-hand side of this slide where there is no image, there are no affiliations or memberships, and there isn't a specialist. Like we don't know who this person is except that he or she is in the directory. So let's avoid our profile looking like this. After this call, take some time, call us, whatever you need to do to make sure we can help you get up a photo. It could be your listing coordinator, it could be someone in the office that manages the account, but let us help you make sure we avoid the right-hand side of just being invisible within the broker directory. So sellers finding you in the directory, there's a lot of ways they can get to our directory, but one thing that's pretty consistent is they do come to BizBuySell and they will start running searches on specifics. And this is a typical search bar in terms of what sellers run in terms of understanding how they get in touch with the best business broker for their situation. And what we've learned through data and analytics is that it matters to them when you're affiliated with an association. It matters to them when you have a license, and it certainly matters with the certification. So you put all three of those combined, it's only going to improve your results on getting more leads from sellers. Another thing we found was the keyword option. There are specialists in your business, and I know there's a lot of wide range business brokers that can do a little bit of everything. Share that with the community. Let them know that you focus on restaurants, manufacturing, whatever it might be. Include that in your description, in your profile. So if someone types that in a keyword search, you're coming up in that search result. Within Biz by Sell, we do have the profile, which does come up in Google search results on a consistent basis. So what we know is, whether it's through a referral or through clients, when someone meets you, they're going to Google you. That is the constant behavior. And what we want to do is, within the Google search results, create the same picture that they're finding in the directory. Make that all mirror. LinkedIn, there's credibility. Biz by Sell, there's credibility. Personal website, credibility. Company website, credibility. That's what type of standard you have to set for yourself in order for a customer to take the next steps with you. So we want to make sure we share that, use it as a best practice, update all 4 of those avenues in terms of exposure. That's how we get to have people find you and then engage with you. So this is what we want to set as a baseline. But even on top of your own individual online business card, Biz by Sell spends money on SEM, SEO, on terms like San Francisco business broker, San Diego business broker. So those are terms that people can type in, drill into, and right away you'll see that it'll drive them to the directory where we see the elites coming first, premium, then followed by basics. Transitioning into listings, I'm about halfway done, and we'll get to some of the Q&A and some of the prizes, which I know everyone's holding on to. But we do want to give just some tips and tricks on to make sure that you have a great baseline moving forward after this summit on how to make sure all your listings get the most exposure so you can drive more leads. Quick summary in terms of when you get to your dashboard, one of the things that right below it you'll see is your listings. This is something that I would encourage twice a week you should be drilling into. When you look at each one of your listings, the call to action here is the listing action, which is highlighted in red. And this is where you'll always have total control of your listings, whether you want to edit the content, update a photo, look at your weekly stats, any of those different things you want to understand about a listing to prepare for a customer meeting, or this is where you would want to drill into. So best practices. In order to understand the best practices, I think it's really important to understand how our users search. And really where it starts is, we know that buyers look for location and they look for category first. So we want to make sure that we maximize that information so you're coming up in as many search results as possible. Similar to what Sam said, a picture is worth a million words. Always use a photo. We understand that the more the photos you have will drive engagement. Have a great title and description. Use terms like high foot traffic, great location. This is what buyers want in a business. So share that with them. And also finally, include as much as the financials as possible. The completeness of the financials just paints a better overall picture for someone who's trying to do business. Leaving those pieces out does actually reduce the amount of leads, and that's what we want to avoid. Views, clicks, leads. That's the recipe for success. And then at the very end of this, we'll go over some of the additional upgrades to increase exposure moving forward. What not to do. As business brokers, you are your own business, and that is including marketing, accounting, running escrows, finding new business, cold calling. Your plate is full. So what we don't want you to do is reinvent marketing by your own standards or terms. Biz Buy Sell has been doing this and tracking analytics for 20 plus years, and we know what doesn't work. And what doesn't work is all caps, misspelling, unprofessional writing, just not following the best practices that we had on the previous slide. So let's avoid that. If you want help going through a listing or a review, call us. Again, we are here to help you at the end of the day. And we have a whole team that's trained to make sure your listings are in positions of success. So with the categories, maximizing the categories as well as confidentiality. These are two common questions that I just want to provide some clarity on. And what we see is there's a lot of businesses that have, maybe multiple categories. And when that presents itself, it's important to take advantage of the opportunity. Now, if it's truly just a single business, stick to the one category. Don't misrepresent your business in the search result. But when you have something like a bar or a pub, but also has a brewery component, as in this example, let's take advantage of both categories to make sure you get the most amount of views, right? We understand that every listing you have has a different relationship with that seller. And sellers can be tough in terms of marketing strategy once you bring them into the picture. And there can be a lot of fear because of employees, fear for a whole lot of different reasons that are what you're trained to be professionals in, that we want to help you out with. But we also want to paint the picture of what works within advertising and Biz Buy Sell. So if you cover up and you don't share the city, county, or state, the opportunity for your listing to show up and get views, clicks, and leads goes out the window. So I understand the wanting to hide the address, but city, county, state, that's something you should be very transparent with your seller on, something you're going to have to share in order driving the right amount of activity to transition that business for that seller. So hitting home on the same point, location, industry are the key points in terms of how our buyers search. And what we also know is that you will get 10% more views with your listing if you include the asking price. So really it's all about setting expectations with your seller, making sure you can get all this information before you market. So when you market, you have the best opportunity to find leads. What we see on the financial side is more completeness of asking price and all the other requirements, not requirements, but fields that we highly encourage people to fill out. It drives more leads, including seller financing available. So this is a strong listing that's very complete with financials that we want to make sure everyone strives to accomplish every time you ingest a listing into the Biz Buy Sell network. We noticed in the slide before, the wine, and this one we have tacos, but the requirements in terms of photos. Everyone has a smartphone at this point in time. There should be no excuses on why we can't get at least a photo within every listing. We do want to make sure that we are very clear that adding a photo to a listing isn't an opportunity to market yourself again, market your company again, add any URLs. It really is about driving activity engagement to your listing. So whether it's through a smartphone or one of your sellers' photos that they're comfortable using, we encourage you to use that. But if that's the case, again, on the confidentiality side, you don't have that, or you don't have the ability to use it, use a stock photo. And the stock photos that you saw on the previous two slides, they are coming from pexels.com. We approve the business photos that come from this website. So at least you can drive engagement with a photo that we approve if you can't use one on your own. With the exposure to listings, every listing has a different story and a different path that's the relationship that you and your seller developed. BrokerWorks, all your listings start as basic listings. And then if you're a premium and elite, you do have the ability to use that Showcase Plus email credit to get more visibility to one of your listings. We have the tiers in terms of how the search results work when buyers are looking for listings. And it starts with Diamond, Showcase, and then Basic. Really, the difference is the visibility. At the end of the day, Biz Buy Sell is a marketplace, and being at the top does drive more views, which translates into clicks and leads. You know, the big difference between the Showcase Plus email and Diamond versus a Basic or just a random a Showcase Choice package is the custom prospect list. Again, it's a proactive way to drive to get in touch with buyers, but also the videos that are included with the email and the Diamond listings. When to do this? Two ways to look at it. You can wait and see, and there's the upgrade now. The example I really like to share with our customers is we look at restaurants in Los Angeles. You'll see about 15 pages of restaurants in the search results. If you ran a search for restaurants in Odessa, Missouri, it's not 13 pages. It's a different story. So, you know, understand the market, understand the category, and then at the end of the day, it's you have skin in the game in the business selling. And at every price point, there is a number where it's like, I should probably invest a little bit more marketing budget for this listing based on that price value. So take those things into consideration. On the other side, if you feel like you run a search and you see your listing and it's in a good space, still on page 1, wait and see. If it changes and it gets onto page 3, maybe it's time to consider an upgrade. But either way, know that these are in your back pocket. And as you set expectations with your seller, feel free to use these and introduce this as part of your marketing pitch. So as we market a listing through Biz Buy Sell's network, how do we define success? And what we like to use as a baseline of success is a 2% click-through rate. So if you're not seeing that within the listing actions of your listings, what can you do? You know, maybe it's time to change the photo. Maybe it's time to change the title, or include some more financials. And it could be one of those things where this is how you show a client how maybe we have to readjust the price to create more of a sense of urgency or to create more viewership and engagement with that listing. So you can always upgrade to improve the listing details, but there are things in your control without spending any money that can help the views, clicks, and leads for a listing. Finally, the last piece is we are a marketplace, and as much as we want to police every single listing, police every single customer, it's organic and it's always evolving. So we hear, you know, the feedback. You know, I never heard back from my inquiry. This listing sold. Why is it on? This business isn't operating. What can we do? Help us. Share that with us. Our team is more than happy to go figure that out with that customer, whoever that is, to make sure that our marketplace is clean and the place where people still want to come back to over and over again. That's the value that we're going to have with Biz Buy Sells. We have 25 years of traffic of people that know that we are the best resources to finding a business for sale. So at this point, I'm going to transition this over to our customer success, Director of Customer Success, Doug Whitmire. Sales and customer success.
Thank you, Jason. I'm the Director of Sales, but customer success is important to me too. Thank you. Great job. With an eye on the clock here, I see that we're a little bit ahead of time, which is good because I know that there's a lot of questions have been pouring in. We want to give you a chance to engage with some of your peers, some of the best brokers in the industry this afternoon, but we also want to leave time to answer your questions as well. So before we get into the broker panel, I guess, Adam, are there, either any burning questions that you've seen come over in the last few minutes that Jason's been speaking, or some common themes that you'd like to maybe address before we get into the panel?
There's questions about confidentiality, and what do you do if the seller just simply doesn't want to disclose, what state or what county or what city they're in?
Okay.
Do you want to? I mean, I have thoughts on that. I was actually in the middle of writing a response, so I guess I could just finish that thought.
Go ahead.
Yeah, every situation's different. Jason was presenting data based on how buyers search, with the most of them searching by location. However, if the seller doesn't want to disclose that, then you have to make that decision whether or not they're making the right decision or not. If the person's selling a gas station in Los Angeles, chances are a buyer's not going to be able to figure out what that listing is. But if it's in a really small city, or say they're selling a water slide in Alaska, then yeah, maybe they shouldn't disclose the state. So everything's really specific to each individual situation. But we do just provide those options for you to make those decisions, and
right,
and that's kind of how that works.
And I'll definitely ask the panel for their thoughts about how they manage some of these tricky and somewhat sensitive discussions with sellers around confidentiality, for sure. Anything else before I proceed, Adam?
I'd say go ahead.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I feel like among all the presenters that you've seen thus far, I think I got the golden ticket, because not only do I have the privilege and the honor to engage with you with some of the best business brokers in the US this afternoon, I also get to award some prizes. So in order to win the prize today, and I've been looking at the attendance, and we've only had a smattering of folks drop off thus far. So the way to win the prizes that we're giving away, which again is highlighted by a Hilton Vacations gift card for $2,500. We're going to give away 2 iPad Pros, 3 sets of AirPod Pro earbuds. You need to take our survey. So that way we'll know that the people that win actually made it to this part of the presentation, and that you've absorbed some of the content that we presented. I assure you that this is not a grueling exam. It's actually something that you can just check through. It's going to take you only a couple of minutes to complete, but it's going to be our way of selecting names. So from the folks that go to this URL and complete the quiz, you will be among those drawn for the prizes. So please go to your browser, and I see Sam still on the call. So go to Google and type in this URL, www.surveymonkey.com /r/bizbuysell, BIZBUYSELL. So it's about 25 minutes past the hour. We're going to give everybody about 10 to 15 minutes to go to this URL and complete the survey. And then we will pull some names from that, and we will be announcing the winners before our overall Q&A is done at the end of our session. So
I want to apologize to any Browns fans in advance. Greg, I know you're in Ohio. I know Emmett, you're in Ohio, but I had to have some fun with the NFL coming in about a week.
All right, cool. So I'm actually going to maybe pull down this sharing if I can.
Yeah, I got it, Doug. You want me to stop sharing?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'd like to see the smiling faces of our broker panel.
Yeah.
And we are truly honored today to have in our presence some members of our broker advisory panel, for sure. But these are some of the best business brokers and most successful brokers, and many of you on this call probably know them. But again, I'm very, very happy to introduce them. I'm just going to go around and ask them to introduce themselves to you, going in alphabetical order by first name. So Mr. Dustin Zeher, joining us from lovely Tyson's Corner, Virginia. Dustin, hello.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining. And I'm glad to be first. I'm usually last because my last name starts with a Z. So that's fun. My name is Dustin Zeher. I'm the owner of Horizon Business Brokers. We're a Northern Virginia-based firm right outside of our nation's capital. have several offices throughout the DC metro area, up to Baltimore, down to Richmond and Charlottesville. So we cover this whole market. I have about 10 agents that work with me. I've been a business broker since 2005, so about 16 years. I've really enjoyed the industry and meeting all the great business owners and entrepreneurs that I've had the opportunity to work with. At any given time, we typically carry about 50 to 60 listings. We're still kind of at an inventory low right now due to rebounding from COVID, but every time we bring a good business to market, it sells. So right now we have about 35 businesses that we're representing, but that number is slowly climbing as we can keep the inventory. We are an industry agnostic firm, so we don't have any primary focus, though myself and some of my agents do have some industries that we particularly care for, but we can cover the whole gambit. So again, happy to be here, and I look forward to answering other questions as they come up.
Awesome. Thank you, Dustin. And now we're going to go over to Westerville, Ohio, where Mr. Greg Hrabcak is joining us. Hi, Greg.
Doug, thank you. I am Greg Hrabcak. I am a commercial real estate broker and business broker located in Columbus, Ohio. I have been doing this 37 years. Seems like a long time. And back in 1991, helped found the Ohio Business Brokers Association. I am with HER Commercial Real Estate Services. We're the largest real estate brokerage company in Central Ohio, 1,300 agents, 70 offices and satellite offices. I am strictly engaged and run their commercial real estate division with business brokerage service and property management services.
Fantastic. It's a great experience, Greg. Thank you for joining us. Jessica Fialkovich, I know that you are going back and forth between Denver and Dallas. What metro are you located in today, Jessica?
I'm in Dallas with a heat advisory of 100 degrees. So nice. Texas in the summer. So my name is Jessica Fialkovich. I'm with Transworld Business Advisors. I'm the franchisee for the Colorado market. Also own offices in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Las Vegas. Across our 3 metros, we have about 30 brokers and just over 300 listings. I've now been in the business. We're in our 9th year of business right now. I'm excited to be on the call and share what we have to offer.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jessica. And then finally, we're going out west. It occurs to me that we've got every time zone covered right now. So going out to Los Angeles and Matt Coletta. Hello, Matt.
Hi, Doug. Thank you. My name is Matt Coletta. I am the co-founder and managing partner of M&A Business Advisors. We are located in California and Nevada with 7 offices. We have about 32 associates, and we represent businesses in a wide range of industries. I am approaching almost 30 years in this industry. I got into the industry in my mid-20s, and so I also serve on the board of directors for CAB. Been on the board since 2013, and I'm also involved as an instructor and chair several committees. So thank you for having me.
Great. Thanks, Matt. It's a pleasure to have all of you on the call today. The first question I'm going to ask, which is probably the first question I would ask you if I were to meet you in person in your office or at an industry event or at a cocktail party, is how's it going? How's business, especially in this unique time as we're going into almost the 4th quarter of 2021, going through this crazy pandemic period? Like, how is your business? How did you fare during COVID? You know, and what's changed with securing listings, and how is the market, and kind of what is the outlook that you're seeing for the rest of the year going into 2022? So I guess I'll get the ice broken, and I'll go to Greg first.
I'll tell you, in spite of the pandemic, I think that business has been outstanding it created a lot of opportunities in a lot of different industries. I have found there were favorable SBA loans. Interest rates were extremely aggressive, I'd say, because I can remember going back 35, 37 years ago when they were in double digits. There are a lot of people that have been misplaced or displaced from what they were doing, that had the resources to finally control going out, looking into acquiring a business. 2021 was a very good year, or 2020 was a very good year. 2021 is just as promising. We're busy. There's an appetite out there. I think if you have the right type of businesses with the right multiples, they're selling. Matter of fact, closed on 2 yesterday. So we're extremely active in Central Ohio.
Okay, so the despite the doom and gloom and the pandemic, you're saying the market is active. Funding and financing is relatively easy to come by. There's a lot of engagement. So those that are sitting on the sidelines might be missing out.
I would agree with everything you said. I find that we have a very captive market right now.
Okay, Matt, how's it going out west for you?
We are seeing strong demand as well. 2020 was surprisingly a great year. We're seeing consistent transactions here this year. Echoing what Greg said, financing is very attractive. And we are actually turning down listings that don't meet a higher standard that we've created. And so we are also implementing a fee to evaluate businesses up front now. We were hesitant to do it. Our industry's always been hesitant to do it. And we implemented this, and we're surprised how receptive our clients are in charging them a few $1,000s up front to do an opinion of value. And but on the buyer side, buyers are in the marketplace, but they are cautious. They're very price sensitive. They are doing their homework, and so we are definitely spending more time coaching our clients up front that it is important to understand what it is that a buyer is thinking when they're making a decision to buy a business. And we need to be prepared up front with information and, in order to have successful sales. So we're spending a lot more time up front in preparing those businesses for sale, getting our documents in order and so forth.
Okay, awesome. Great input. Jessica?
I mean, I have to agree with everything Greg and Matt have said so far. Surprisingly, yes, I agree. 2020 was a great year. All of our metrics were up, closing buyers and everything. And 2021 has continued to just do so. I think the only thing I'd add is that I think the change in environment has allowed us all to just be a little bit more creative in deals and use additional tools and resources that I know we're going to talk about later in this panel to get deals done faster and also in a different way than we would have seen prior to the pandemic. So,
great, fantastic, Dustin.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really have anything more to share than the other three. We're being in DC, we're lucky to kind of be one of the last markets to feel the pain and one of the first markets to recover when things change for the better or worse. I've seen strong demand from buyers, looking for good businesses and trying to make sure they're educated and pre-qualified to the best that we can get them, because obviously it comes down to the business, but getting them connected with the lenders that we work with to make sure that they're looking at businesses that they can obviously afford. And when we're getting a lot more calls from our sellers as well, and we're taking additional steps, also providing broker's price opinion, something that we normally kind of gave complimentary, but because the demand has increased, we've also started charging for the service as well. And and people understand, that there's time and energy that goes into these valuations or provide these brokers' opinions. So they're happy to pay. And, at least at our firm, our practice is to credit that fee back to them if they, list their business with us. So it's not a lost expense for them. And then, we're making the extra step to talk to the lenders that we have relationships with, especially in this post-COVID world where, some businesses might have experienced a dramatic drop off in revenue and cash flow performance. So to send it over to lenders and third-party analysts that we've worked with before to make sure that we're accurately pricing it where we know that it's going to get funding. So getting pre-qualification letters on businesses, to advertise for sales help, attract the qualified buyers, and then getting those buyers over to the lenders, just kind of streamlines the process and makes it a little bit easier to get a deal done.
Okay, great. So I'm hearing a lot of optimism. I'm hearing a lot of success, not just in 2021, but in the COVID period last year. And that's great to hear. For those of you attending who are interested in winning a prize, I'm going to give you the 5-minute warning to please go to the survey, surveymonkey.com/r/biz by cell. We'll draw those winners.
If anyone's having any issues, just add something to the Q&A and I'll just send you the link directly.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Adam. So with all the success and with all this optimism, I guess the one question I want to follow up with is, what's your biggest challenge right now? What do you see your biggest challenges moving forward? And Matt, I'll start with you.
Well, there's expectations, always at the top of the list. Always challenging to. No.
We can hear you, Matt.
Okay. Yeah, just trying to get sellers to be realistic on what they have to sell, and looking at not only their cash flow but the condition.
Okay, I think we lost the feed from Matt. Matt, you were breaking up a little bit and you went dark. Are you still there? Can you hear me?
I'm right here. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, just managing sellers' expectations. We, as I mentioned earlier, we spend a lot of time with our sellers up front and make sure they understand what it is that they're selling and what's involved with buyers and what they expect. So I would say that is our biggest challenge currently, and seems to always be the case.
Fantastic. Thank you. Anybody else want to weigh in? Greg, your biggest challenge?
I would, Matt, I agree with you. And I think it's not only on the seller's end, it's on the buyer's end. And it's same type things. It's expectations. There are two other dynamics that come into this. And I think we as business brokers need to educate them as to how this works, to make sure they understand the processes. I think that it's qualifying, it's educating, and that goes on both sides of the transaction, whether buyer or seller. And one of the things you mentioned earlier, I don't take any of these things to market till I have every single thing that I need. I don't want a buyer or another broker contacting me and saying, do you have the lease? Do you have the 12 months trailing P&L? I think that being prepared when you go to market is extremely important.
Fantastic. Dustin, any commentary on your biggest challenge?
No, I would say the same. It's always managing expectations, more so with the sellers, but buyers as well. And I think, if you kind of change your process in working with buyers, I think a lot of buyers have come accustomed to just signing a simple confidentiality agreement to gain access to information about a business. And I think to better serve them and to make sure that we're not wasting our time or our sellers' time, is make sure you're taking that extra time to qualify your buyers, make sure you're having them complete some sort of profile or questionnaire, so you can see if the business itself is fits with their professional experience. But most importantly, do they have the financial capability to buy a business? what we found is there's a lot of buyers out there that might have, that 10 or 20% down payment that the bank might be looking for. So common example, for $100,000 or $200,000 business, somebody might have the $100,000 or $200,000 or the 20 or 40 grand that they need, but they don't have the liquidity and financial stability that the landlord's going to require or the bank wants to see after the acquisition. So just make sure you're educating your buyers, so you're just not wasting their time. And they might not be in the position now, but if you give them the proper advice and counsel, hopefully they will be in the next 6 months or a year, and then they'll come back to you thanking you for the extra 15 minutes you spent with them versus not answering their email.
Okay, so education and expectations is what it's all about. Jessica, anything to add?
I would just spin on expectations is timing. Like we just all talked about how great the market is. We saw data about how buyer inquiries are up, and it's just very busy, and everyone's busy. The brokers are busy. Our lending partners are busy. Our lawyers are busy. So just setting expectations with timing across the board on closing times and people getting back to you and loan processing times. I do feel bad for our banking partners, the year and a half they just went through with not just SBA incentives, but managing PPP loans and all this extra stuff that got thrown on their plates. So that's been a challenge. I think we're on the downside of that challenge, but it has been a challenge for the last 18 months.
Got it. Very good. Thank you. So it might be good to bring up this issue of confidentiality because, that came up in the Q&A, as Adam mentioned, and Jason spent some time expressing the importance of, getting visibility to get leads and to get leads to close deals. And but confidentiality is a counterweight to that, in that it can limit exposure. So, what are some strategies or tactics that you would recommend to the other brokers on the call of how to address this issue of confidentiality with a seller, and how do you mitigate that, and how do you compel them to maybe give up information that they may not want to reveal in order to maybe close the transaction faster? Dustin?
Sure. So, obviously confidentiality is the number one thing that every seller is worried about, getting the word out to their employees and their vendors, and what it could cause, issues to the business. So, we just always assure them that everything that we do public facing is not going to, to disclose that information. The business name, the address, is not disclosed publicly, and that information is only shared with people that complete what we call our buyer's package, the confidentiality agreement, questionnaire, and financial statement. But we need to tell them that if we want the best results possible, to use platforms like BizBuySell, we're being asked to enter in the city or the zip code, because that's going to help with search results. And for a lot of these businesses, that simple information doesn't give the business away. Like somebody mentioned earlier. If you have a very niche and specialty business where you are one of only a handful of businesses in a county or state or region, and this is mostly with, I would say, like manufacturing businesses or specialty services businesses, where you do have to be a little bit more creative, and you're leaving city or zip code out, and you're defining it more to like more of a region, mid-Atlantic region or what have you. And you just have to, again, set the expectations with the seller, saying, hey, if we're not able to share this information to protect the confidential nature of the sale, we need to be prepared to have less inquiries, and try to work with the inquiries that we get, and make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that we're protecting the confidential nature of the sale and getting what we need from them to get through the process. And then maybe you're taking a different approach, with those businesses where it's not kind of solely relying on, these BizBuySell, marketplaces, where you're being more of an M&A advisor, approach, where you're kind of reaching out to the direct competitors confidentially, and, buying other lists and doing more mailings and callings and email campaigns. so you can protect that information better.
Great input. Greg?
Well,
Confidentiality.
It's explaining to your clients, again, going back to expectations. I can't sell it and keep it a secret. So these things can be ghost written, and they can be handled in such a way that when a buyer inquires, and again, depending on the level of the business, pricing, et cetera, most of these people are sophisticated. And I believe part of what I'm telling them is, look, certainly you understand that if this was yours, you just wouldn't want me over a phone call or an email disclosing the name, the location, et cetera. I think the other thing is having strong and specific non-disclosure agreements that you share with those buyers. If they want financial information, we're going to require financial information. Every one of my clients, buyer or seller, anything that I've got going on, any inquiries that I get, they're blind copied on. They are aware that interest has been reached. And a lot of it's about relationships. I'm a commercial real estate broker. I do it, and I do a ton of business brokerage. But through 37 years of doing this, I know the people that I'm dealing with, the law firms, the accounting firms, Emmett Apollinario, who's on this call and doing business brokerage here in Columbus, Ohio. We know how to communicate. It's built on trust, and you need to instill that in your clients.
Fantastic. That's great. Matt or Jessica, anything to add on confidentiality?
Yeah, I would just say it's case by case. So we create what we call a web description form, where we will fill out this form, and the fields in that form are actually consistent with the fields in BrokerWorks when we input a listing. So we'll look at case by case. We will really try to capture what we can in our write-up. So I'm always explaining to our associates here that write-up is super important. You really have to make sure that your tagline, your description is well thought out and doing what it's supposed to do in generating interest. On the buyer side, when we get inquiries, we have an automated system where they'll get an automated email on the documents and the instructions. We also require not only a confidentiality agreement, buyer profile, financial information, and we've noticed as the years have gone on that we get less resistance now for certain information from buyers. And then we take the time to call them. So we will call them, speak to them, make sure that there's a connection with their background, their financial capabilities, and the listing that they're inquiring on. And we make a judgment call. And if we feel that they're a fit, then we will send them the package and then take it from there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I would just add, kind of reiterate one of Dustin's points that's important for us is the strategy changes depending on the listing, right? If I'm listing a liquor store in Denver, Colorado, we don't have a whole lot of issues with mass marketing. If I'm listing a specialty manufacturing firm in Rifle, Colorado, for those of you who know where Rifle is, that's an issue, right? So that's something where we take case by case, and that's usually a situation to protect confidentiality, where we wouldn't pursue mass marketing activities to protect the business and the business owner. So I think that's a really important point that Dustin brought up, that's really important in our offices, especially covering some of these rural areas of the US.
Truly is case by case, for sure. Okay, I'm mindful of the time. I did want to make sure that we kept to the 2-hour maximum for this session, and we've got about 10 minutes left. We've got some winners that we want to announce of our prizes, and I also wanted to have a chance for Adam to maybe address some of the Q&A that's come in over the last couple of hours that we've been together. So I'll give you one last broad question, hopefully that will be of use for those on the session today, which is, if I met you and we didn't know each other, and if I met you at a cocktail party or on an airplane, and I said, you told me you were a business broker, and I said, hey, That's a coincidence. I'm just about ready to become a business broker myself. First time new to business brokerage. What advice would you give me in order to make sure that I was set up for success? Jessica, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the first thing I'd say is make sure you pursue some education. So whether that's through the IBBA or your local state association, I do have a lot of people that'll come to me and they'll be like, should I just jump straight into the CDI? I'm like, there's plenty of courses you can take through the IBBA and local associations before doing that. But that would be my first response to them of what to do.
Education is key. Dustin?
Yeah, I would say that's number one, and then aligning yourself with just other respectable brokers in your area. There's no shame in having a mentor. You can learn a lot from people that have been doing it for even 5 years. Get involved in the community. But I think aside from those two things, I think it's important to note, our industry has very long sales cycles. So make sure that you can commit to staying in the industry for at least 12 to 18 months, because it's going to take you that long to really develop your pipeline. So don't go in with false expectations. Make sure you have a clear plan and take proper steps and actions to be successful. So know how much money you're going to spend marketing, know what your strengths and weaknesses are. So you're focusing on your strengths and having people do the things that you're not good at. Because if you get bogged down by the minutia, you're just going to get, you're not going to like the industry, and you're going to want to move on. You're not going to make any money. So get educated, get a mentor, and then come up with a clear plan for marketing and what type of businesses you want to go after. There's nothing wrong with having a shotgun approach where you specialize in a certain industry. And there's nothing wrong with going after anything and everything. But remember, you don't have to take any and every listing, because not every listing is going to sell. And especially in your beginning career, you want to make sure that you're getting listings that you are comfortable with and that you will sell, so you can move on to the next one and continue to make money.
Fantastic. Matt or Greg, any advice?
Yeah, I would say education. I got in this business when I was in my 20s, and I joined CAB, I joined IBBA, and I took every single class I could take and went to every conference. And I would definitely recommend that people do that and learn what they can, and then also affiliate yourself with a good firm. We have a mentor program here in our firm, but affiliate yourself with a good firm that has some type of training program, and surround yourself, with people who are experts in the industry, and hopefully something will rub off.
Fantastic. And then one last question before we draw the winners. Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, Doug, and by the way, I want to thank you guys and Biz Myself for putting this on. It's been dynamite. I do want to add something, and this is me personally. I totally agree with everything that's been said. Education key, mentor key. Hey, I'm a licensed real estate broker and agent. I have yet to sell a business that didn't have a lease attached to it or had real estate. And I will tell you that having a real estate license and being a business broker, you will make more money. And most realtors are not involved in business sales. And if they know you are, you can get a lead or two every single day. So I think a real estate license is a great way to go, because you not only have the business expertise, you can now participate in real estate transactions.
Okay. That's great. We were fortunate today to have Sam give his perspective on Google, as an additional marketing avenue. Anybody on the panel, any thoughts, feedback, or commentary on some of the content that Sam presented? Anyone?
I would just say, I thought it was great that you guys included him on here. I think a lot of business owners and brokers just struggle to understand the behemoth that Google has become and how it works. And I just thought it was a really good give back or value to the brokers on the call. And I encourage everybody to dive a little bit deeper to learn more into how their Google profiles work.
Okay. Anyone else?
I would also like to say thank you. I've used Google Analytics and Google My Business, and we have a Google rep that my marketing director is in touch with. So obviously Google is a huge company, but they really are here to help all of our clients and their small businesses, but they've been a great help for us. So anybody that's here, utilize the resources that you have. You have reps at BizBuySell, you have reps at Google, you have reps everywhere. So just because you don't know and understand something, don't let it stop there. There's, be proactive and use the tools that are at your fingertips. You'll be more successful.
Thank you, Dustin. We're almost out of time. And Adam, do we have a winner?
Yeah, so Tanya on my team is in the process of selecting that right now. But before we get to that, I'm having a really good conversation with Ron Schwab, who is bringing up some really good points about confidentiality. And he says that in many cases, the selling client absolutely demands that we do not list city and or county. And he offers a solution, a simple metropolitan area, division of state, e.g. north and south, would solve the problem. So I want to put Bob on the hot seat and ask you, are we looking into doing any sort of advanced search based on region, not just confined to city, state, county?
Great question. And I alluded to it a little bit earlier that metro area search or region search is definitely one of the common requests. We are looking at that. We want to implement it. We want to be able to aggregate counties into a metro area. We want to be able to aggregate regions to give different levels of granularity of search. We realize that city, county, and then state is kind of a big, fairly granular and then very broad. So I think, the first step will be probably a metro area. We'll have to think about how we can tackle regions more broadly. But if you can select metro areas or maybe a map search, select a region, that will help. So yeah, it's on the list. We're hoping to get to it. Recognize that it will definitely improve searches for buyers as well.
Thanks, Bob. So confidentiality is definitely a big issue, but a question came up earlier that I thought was interesting. So we were talking about the need to respond to buyers on BizBuySell and how that just creates a really fair and good experience for everyone. How do you handle responding to a buyer that is clearly not qualified? How do you let them down easy? So I guess
how do you know they're not
panel.
qualified, I guess would be the first question.
Good question.
Is that for our panel?
That's for the panel, yeah. So maybe you get some minor information like what they can offer, what their background is, and it's like clearly this buyer is not a good fit. What do you do?
I would just send out a timely response, just like we do for anybody else that's qualified, and just tell them, thank you for your interest, but unfortunately, after our review, you don't meet the financial qualifications that that the landlord or a lender would require for you to purchase this business and obtain the lease. And sometimes we'll even go into a little bit more detail to educate them. I actually recently updated our kind of form letter to do this as a copy and paste email, essentially, and say that a bank's going to require 10% or 20%. They're going to want you to have post-closing liquidity of $150,000 or $250,000 or whatever it is. So just getting back to them, educating them, and again, like I said earlier, they might not be in the position now, but a year from now they might be. And we also suggest, hey, if you don't have these qualifications or the credit score, do you have family, friends, partners? A bank would love to have 10 people to guarantee a note if they could, as well as a landlord. So if it makes sense for them at the end of the day, they'll do it as long as they're comfortable. So if it takes one person or 5 people, try and we'll help where we can as long as they show evidence of being able to do so.
Great
Please
answer.
blame the seller.
Good.
Just adding to what Dustin was saying, letting them know these are the seller requirements. The seller does not want their information out there to people who don't qualify and meet certain parameters. And most people understand that.
I'd take it a step further as well. And I agree with that, is that, look, I think some of the best advice you can give these buyers is, you've looked at this, where do you bank? Where do you have a banking relationship? Where's your savings? Where's your checking? Where do you have SEPs, et cetera? And have them go to their lender or financial advisor. Say, this is what I'm looking to do. Can we do this? It's not necessarily you becoming a bad guy or giving them bad news. It is just based on what you're showing me, we don't have the capital to do it. So that's another way to kind of third party it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, especially what Greg just said. It goes back to setting expectations and educating the buyer, right? Because sometimes they just don't understand what the expectations need to be in terms of their purchasing power.
Thanks for your time, Bob. You want some last words?
Thank you to all of our broker panelists, Sam, for sharing your insights with Google. Adam and the marketing team did a fantastic job pulling all this content together and running the prizes, and even this technology for this webinar was a handful. So Adam's going to go on vacation tomorrow and enjoy it very much. So thank you all for your time today. We'll circle back for those who are registered with follow-up emails and get you some of the material that we promised. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great day.
Cheers.